Heyo, outliers. Wayne Veldsman is the difference maker and legacy leader out to rewrite what the word legacy even means. Not a name on a building, not millions left behind, but the impact you make today. He works harder than almost anyone else he knows, and the people around him tell him so to his face as a compliment. But that compliment is the exact thing he is starting to question. So, what happens when a leader who has always outworked the room begins to wonder whether hard work was ever the thing making the difference? Let's get into the room and find out. Hey there, outliers. Niiamah and Shang here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey. I can feel it right now. I'm really grateful to be here right now because we get a chance to go and co-create with an outlier who's already playing the big game and is finding different ways to make sure that it not only helps him, but the people that he serves out in the world. And what I love about this here is that because we're talking with Wayne Veldsman, we get a chance to talk to someone who not only creates impact for himself, but he creates impact through himself that continues to ripple out to others out in the world and the other organizations. So, Wayne, it is an absolute pleasure to be in space with you. What I know about you already, that you show up like ready to go with creation and energy behind you, and I'm really excited to channel that into today's conversation. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, it's absolutely my pleasure. Talking about energy, I guess it takes one to know one because,
Mm.
from the moment that we hopped on, right? You bring it every single episode in the podcast, everybody that you work with. I'm sure every single person that you interact with every single day. It's just an absolute pleasure to be able to share the stage with you here, right now.
I appreciate that. As you say that about like every person I interact with, I have to be let me check in. I'm like, is it there? And
Yeah.
nowadays it's happening more and more. And I think it's because I've been making some really strong calls as to like who gets to like who do I play with? Like, and not only like who, but like what are we playing with at the same time? And you'll hear me use words with like play quite a bit. It's because I look at like
Yes.
I think about the work that I do. I'm like, when I think about his work, I'm like, oh, this is heavy. I'm out. I like it just doesn't light me up. But when I think about it as a game and
Nice.
playing, I'm like I can do the same actions and feel good about it. So, would you mind sharing with us the outlier game you're playing out in the world right now?
Absolutely. Thanks for asking. But first off, this distinction between play versus work, I think is so interesting, right?
Mm.
For some reason, society has put this negative connotation on work because I think it's seen as this thing that we are forced to do for 60 plus years in our lives until finally, please, we can stop working and retire. Whereas, fortunately, I think because of individuals like you yourself and what I'm working to become, we're redefining what work actually is, right? Guess what I'm playing every single day, the role I get to be. And thus, like, we're helping individuals to live more meaningful lives, lives that they don't really want to escape from. And so, along those lines, your question of like, what am I up to? How am I being an outlier these days? Well, like you said, my name is Wayne Veldsman. I'm fortunate that there's not too many of me out there, sort of similar to yourself. So, everybody I'd love to connect, just pop me into Google pretty easily. But I, these days, am what I like to call a difference maker and a legacy leader. My call to action, my mission in life is to help redefine what the word legacy is. We're not talking about leaving multi millions to your kids, although I'm here to help with that as well. And we're not talking about someday having your name on a building or a statue created after you. No, legacy is what we do today. It's every interaction that you have with somebody day in, day out. It's the impact that you're leaving on this world right here, right now. Because little do we know, legacy can actually take effect today. Legacy, by definition, is what happens after you have passed on, moved forward from this life. And unfortunately, we don't know when that's going to happen. Right? There's lots of stories where somebody is sitting at their dinner table and a car burns through the side of the building, side of your house. And unfortunately, their time has come to an end. So, what did they do that day and every day previously to make sure that they were remembered well? That's what I'm helping individuals to do, primarily tangibly. That's through my work with ultimately tons of nonprofits across the US, across South Africa, were helping them to get their missions out, for them to tell their stories in a really meaningful way so that they can make a bigger impact, make a bigger lasting legacy on the world through the actions they take day in and day out. And so that might be a little bit more in depth or even just a little bit more high level than what you were looking for. But why don't we just start there?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm dancing with this one. Like this feels good to me actually here. You got me thinking, and Wayne, I think we're both two people who will take notes throughout this. Like, I what I get about you is like I see like you're writing things down, you're capturing the distinctions, and so I already know I'm like I think that's why I'm having so much fun already because I'm like, oh, like this conversation could end right here, and Wayne's already gotten what he needed, you know, and so
Nice.
that feels really good. Like I'm like, oh, growth is the floor. It's not the place that we're trying to get to. It's
Sure.
just happening. All right. So one, two, given the work that you do, something was coming to me here. I really love like the way that you position legacy as like what we do now, even though like it comes for like the standard definition is what happens after you pass on, after you move forward from this life. And it made me think
Yeah.
about like what I'm imagining happens with your clients and the way that you work with people, which is that like they become different people, not different. They become more mature. Like something about them changes. And given the fact, like
Yeah.
you can't, because growth seems to always be on the table with you, right? The thing that was going into my mind is like, oh, I think that we might actually experience like many deaths of who we used to be,
Interesting.
like when we spend time in your world. So like the legacy isn't some like far out thing. It is like actually let's help you build the system right now so that like your legacy of the person who was trying to get funding and trying to get that mission out into the world. Well, like my job is to help that person die by helping them be successful so that you can then start the legacy of like what happens once we no longer have to worry about that or we have too much money coming our way and we're trying to figure out how to disperse it or whatever it is there. Like what do you make from that? Like it was just an image that came to mind given the way that you think about it.
Yeah, this concept of helping individuals to, I guess, shed their past selves is a little bit what you're talking about and helping them grow day in and day out. I guess I've never looked at it that way. I think it's a pretty interesting insight through growth. My business is pretty much in a more tangible way set up in two different sectors, right? One, we're actually physically helping with the online marketing for nonprofits, telling their story more effectively so they can get seen by more individuals and ultimately raise more money, make a bigger impact. And on the other side, I'm actually running leadership coaching for high level executives, a lot of times for members of the board of nonprofits, leadership teams, or entrepreneurs, a lot like yourself. And that leadership coaching, I focus it in on primarily three different buckets, right? It's really simple. And what I tell everybody is if every single day you can focus on checking just these three little buckets, you're going to guarantee growth and ultimately success in your life, right? And success, or however you like to define it, if that success is ultimately friends and family, if that success is personal development, having been your best self, or if that success is making a lot of money, all you have to do is focus day in on day out on checking the boxes of did I improve my mental self today? Did I improve my physical self today? And did I improve my financial self today? So, what might that look like really simply? Every day, check the mental box. Did you sit down and read? Did you take 5 minutes to meditate and actually grow your mind? Did you have a deep and meaningful conversation with a friend or a colleague like this? I'm so honored. I'm checking the box right here, right now. I've grown my mental self. On the physical side, right? I'm not saying you have to go to the gym or you have to go run 10 miles, but if that's what you like to do it. Or go for a walk, right? Or go play some racquetball or pickleball and just make sure that you're taking care of your physical self because if you don't take care of your health and it deteriorates, how are you going to help anybody else? Right? I can't remember the saying now off the top of my head, but it's something like it's like when your health goes away, right? It's the thing you take for granted until you are forced to think about it, forced to take action on it. So let's not wait. Every day, focus on that health side of you. And then financially, finally, right? It doesn't have to be anything big, but we need to be taking action to set ourselves up for financial success. And even if it's just checking your bank accounts, taking note, what is the measurement, right? Make sure you understand the numbers and don't think of them as being good or bad. They are what they are. And now what you do with that information, that's good or bad. And so pretty simple on that side, I think, for everybody. Each day, every day, if you just focus on checking these three boxes of improving your mental self, your physical self, and your financial self, as I said, it's going to really guarantee success in whatever way you like to define it.
Ooh, yeah, we're gonna play with this here, Wayne. I really appreciate this here. We got those three different buckets. The three selves are all out at play. Wayne, you told us a little bit about how people can connect with you through like just Googling you, but if someone did want to go down the journey with you and explore these three, like the what you help them with, the messages with nonprofits or the leadership stuff, like what's the best way for them to go do that?
Yeah, if you want to explore the journey with me, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Mhm.
You can find us over at journeytolegacy.org is really the best way to go. Journey, and then it's tolegacy.org. You can find all of our different services directly from there, branching into working directly with nonprofits or working with leadership coaching and development as well.
Outliers, we have our quests, right? We have met yet another outlier along the journey, and let's go forth and support, grow with, and utilize to help make our visions come to life as well, and just keep uplifting the people around us. So, thank you, Wayne, for the what you did. All right.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Awesome. Well, we're gonna like switch hats right now, right? Change gears a little
Awesome.
bit, and we're gonna put outliers over to the side, have them go take their seat over. I imagine them like as a fly on the wall, or
Nice.
in the audience there. Um, but they're gonna just come in and have a chance to observe what's gonna be meaningful for you, all right? And so for this year, we're gonna have a conversation. Uh, I'm gonna hide nothing and hold nothing back. Are you good with that?
Yeah, please.
All right, cool. And I'm here to serve you rather than please or platform you. Are you good with that?
It sounds great.
All right, cool. And I said this beforehand, but like I have a track record of having life-changing conversations. And at this point in the journey, like that's it. Like that's my floor. Are you open to this being a positively life-changing conversation?
I'm open to it being a positively life-changing conversation.
All right, that's all we need right there. We have the three ingredients to make this rock and roll. Wayne, for you then, like life changing's on the table. Like, what would make this a life changing conversation for you?
What would make this conversation life-changing for me? Um,
Don't rush
the
into it.
first,
Like, feel free to sit with it for a bit.
yeah, when you talk about life-changing, it's a pretty dramatic question,
Mhm.
right? The first thing, funny enough, that comes to my mind is, well, the question of do I want to change my life? Like a life-changing conversation. Um, could be pretty
Do
intense.
you want to change your life? Let's check in on it. Does it feel like is the
Yeah,
premise of it really? Because I ask people, right? I'm like, are you open to a life changing conversation? I've gotten some pushback, you know,
yeah,
but I also am like, this is the standard I play at. Like, there's like we can have a casual conversation, we can have a an improving conversation, or we can go change your life. And if you can play a change your life, why would you do anything less? And it might.
yeah.
And
Of,
what
of
I find
course.
too, Wayne, is this. I'll put this here. Like, because I actually really like the way that you're playing with this.
Mm,
It doesn't have to be your life, right?
mm,
So it could be a conversation that happens that changes the lives of millions, billions out there, or a specific client, or whatever it is, right? But
yeah,
the life changing is happening. Like who receives
nice.
it, we got it, and it has to, and we're going to be put in the positive direction.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I really like how you reframed that. That it doesn't necessarily have to be myself, right? That it
Mhm.
can be for everybody listening or for others life changing as well. And also, let me throw out to that. I think when you asked that question, my mind went um, potentially too big, where I thought of life changing in this instance as a complete flip
Mm.
versus like not necessarily as much. Maybe it could be a life enhancing conversation. Also, it could potentially be a synonym, or am I steering too far off now the direction that you want to go?
No, I'm all in on all this. Like, if you wouldn't go complete flip, like go for it. Wait, like whatever you want. Like, let's go create.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's create, let's
Yeah.
play. I think as far as life changing conversation, what would make it so is the opportunity to help individuals that are listening to this to think differently about what's possible for themselves and for those around them, right? Being able to change their lives. You know, like yourself, I'm fortunate that I run a podcast. For about the last 6 years, I've had the
Yep.
privilege to speak with countless change making entrepreneurs, all about like how did they get into the space, how do they think and feel, and like what drives them. And ultimately it's like a big question, like, well, can anybody be an entrepreneur? How can we help people to see differently, to take action today, to change their lives, right? To
Nice.
enhance their lives. It doesn't have to mean you are going to discard everything that you are doing today, everything that you are today, but really to enhance it. And so let's play with that a little bit, right? How can we help other people to see possibilities,
Yeah.
to see that they're capable of more, and then help them to take action on that?
So that's what this whole thing is, right? And I think the way I like to play is like we're gonna demonstrate it, right? So the
Right.
way that I'm gonna say that we're gonna do this is like, Wayne, if we can help you see possibility, then they will be able to see you seeing possibility and be like, oh my goodness, I didn't know a possibility could exist like that. Because because you see things and your lenses of seeing the world are so cool. I don't want to
Yes.
talk about what it takes to do possibility. I'm not interested in that conversation. I just want to do
Yeah.
it. Like you talk about legacy is what happens after we die, but it happens now.
Yeah.
Possibility is what happens in the future, but it happens now, right? So
Yeah.
like I'm playing with you a little bit in this space here. And look, if there's nothing you want to talk about, that's fine. We don't have to like push it. But
Yeah.
there's a real thing here. Like I get it. Like you're probably used to being in the seat that I'm in, where you're like I get to ask the questions. I get to host the podcast. Well, welcome to my castle. Like-
I'm excited.
so let me ask you this, Wade. Like, why don't you do and share with us right now? What's something you're doing right now that really excites you? It might be, yeah, like a project you're taking on, but like it's not just excites you. I don't want to just put that there. It has to have consequence. So the two ways I'm thinking about this here is this, and you let me know if this is too small. Um, when I'm working with people, I like my floor on conversations is typically like, what's like what's $250,000 problem that you're taking on right now? That we can work 250,000 or below, or sorry, or above, 250,000 or above. Like what's a problem that'd be worth 250,000 or above for us to work on? That's one way we can look at it, right? The other thing
Yeah.
here is like what is that? What would be that possibility that like if your business, if your clients, if like whatever it is existed, it would literally flip things around, but like in like I don't know, like a cool way, like the X game kind of flips rather than just like turns you backwards. Like I get really excited to see like what would be it's almost like what would be the legacy after you complete this legacy.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Well, let's I'm going to explore a couple different directions if we want to.
Yeah, let's go.
The first thing that pops into my head, right? We'll call it this $250,000 uh multi-million dollar like discussion or problem, is that I've started to explore limiting beliefs within
Yep.
myself
Yeah.
that are around making money and around, I'm using this strategically, around hard work. And it's potentially a concept that I have this limiting belief. I think a lot of people do as well. It's that they are not doing enough, or that what they're doing isn't enough. it isn't good enough. So, have you ever sort of started to explore these thoughts for yourself or for anybody that you work with?
If you're a leader with a track record of success and there's a vision you're ready to bring to life that feels outrageous right now, I have an invitation for you. Outlier's Edge is a world for different minded, like hearted leaders who are owning what makes them different to make a world of difference. And at the center of that world is a weekly coaching room where we bring the visions that just won't leave us alone. We get coached, stay accountable, and build alongside others, creating something different. If you're pursuing something that's too big, too early, or too improbable for most rooms, this is your room. Go to outliersedge.com/world and come in as my guest. Yeah, happens all the time. Like, and the thing about it here is I mean, we're outliers. So I tend to think about two things. One of them being like, how do we do things? Like, how do we do it differently, not just better? You know, and then the other side of it being like being able to get into the flow of things. I mean, we talked about like what's it called? The word work earlier and play versus work, right? So I'm playing in that place. But I also think that the last place that comes up is like I work with impact like driven people on a regular basis, right? And I think that like I actually really respect you working with nonprofits because like sometimes I'm like, hey, look, let me just go work with change makers and nonprofits. And I think that there's a mentality that comes along that's like that comes with like, can I actually like, is it okay for me to be making money doing this much good out in the world? You know,
Yeah.
or should I be doing something that is tangible that like, and I can have that for-profit side of things, but like otherwise I should be just in the given space. I see you smiling. What's coming for you on that, man?
Yeah, it's a couple different things. Well, first off, a lot of people when they hear nonprofits, right,
Yeah.
they think
Real quick.
about
What is it? What is coming to you for like yourself? Because I'm not talking any outliers here. So I'm just like I'm curious for you. What are you getting from it?
yeah, absolutely. Um,
Thanks for playing,
what
by
am
the way.
I what am I getting from it? Yeah, absolutely. Um, my apologies. Yeah, I lost my train of thought there.
You don't have to ever apologize for me on that. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. I'm like the king of distraction, just so you know, Wayne. I'm the king of distraction. And so like uh I use that to my advantage, right? Because a lot of people have traction on where it is. I'm like, I know, like if we're gonna talk possibility, there's gonna be places that Wayne feels comfortable going, and I'm not gonna let him like really go there, you know?
Yeah, happiness. I'm working here to steer into difficult things. First off,
Yeah,
the conversation where I started here around limiting beliefs.
yeah,
Am I doing enough?
yeah,
Am I good enough? Is
yeah,
not a conversation that I have day to day. It
yeah,
comes few and far between. Just to start there, and
yeah,
then the yeah, am I doing enough? And then you ask the question about well, nonprofits, right? Like okay, that making money, right? Versus is it okay to make money? Versus just helping and like how I felt about that because you saw that my
yeah,
mind was turning, and so that's the track that I want to go down just for a second. Is
yeah,
that first off, a nonprofit doesn't necessarily mean that there's no money, that they're not
yeah,
making any money. A nonprofit means that all of the money is going into making more good happen, into serving their cause and their mission. Well, in order to make more good happen, you need people. In order to have people be able to do work for you for your mission, they need to eat. They
yeah,
need to be able to live somewhere, so they have to make money. And
yeah.
so salaries that go into an organization is definitely part of a nonprofit, right? And so as far as let's just get that aside, right? There's actually a
Oh,
lot of money in the nonprofit space.
oh
And now here's
yes.
a funny piece that I'll just dive a little bit deeper into myself, right? It's sort of uncomfortable. A couple days ago, I had a meeting with a client. They're a pretty big organization out of California called Biz World. They provide entrepreneurship education to youth. They're actually teaching life skills through entrepreneurship education. So they're teaching teamwork and communications and confidence and finance, tangible life skills through entrepreneurship education, right? And so meeting continues. We're wrapping up, and my client counterpart, she said, "Man, Wayne, like, thank you so much. You work harder than anybody that I know." And I kind of like laughed and shrugged it off. And I said, oh, well, thank you. I'm glad that, like, it's perceived that way. And I took it as a really big compliment until I took it almost as the opposite, until I sat with it. And I thought to myself, well, just because you work hard, just because you put in the hours, does that mean that you're actually making a big difference? And so this has now been the last couple of days where I'm starting to think about this. Like, am I just working hard or am I making sure that I'm working smart? Am I taking time to be more strategic than I am just implementing? Right? Some of the hardest workers in the absolute universe are construction people or ditch diggers. How big of an impact are they really making? How big of a difference? How big of a legacy are they leaving just for their hard work? It's not necessarily a big one. And so that's kind of a good space for us to maybe play in. And it also came up because, working in the nonprofit space, do I feel bad charging for it? Absolutely not. Because when I'm
Nice.
working on something that is mission driven, that's making an impact, I already know I'm going to work way harder. That's why her perception is, Wayne, you work the hardest out of anybody I ever know. Because I'm like, well, we're making a difference here. I can't stop. I constantly have to tell my clients, hey, listen, this whole project that I just told you we're doing and outlined, it's not on our scope of work.
Yeah.
It's not on our scope of work. And I know that your budget is allocated already. So I'm not asking you for more money. Just please be aware that we're not getting paid for this, but we're about to tackle it anyways.
Nice.
And so I feel great charging because I already know myself that I'm going to do so much more than what's just allocated. And so it shoots myself in the foot sometimes. That's where just the hard work versus maybe smart work comes in. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that, right? Like
Yeah.
working smarter, not harder, potentially, and yeah, along those lines.
I'm gonna ask you a quick follow up here. Like, how big is your team right now?
Small, full time, three of us.
Okay, cool. So like the components that come in here, it's tricky, man. So the thing about this here would be like, all right, like I'm playing out in my mind the opposite, right? If they came and said, Wayne, like you'd look like you do like almost nothing here, how would that feel? Um, Smarter, not harder. Like I think the question becomes where is the leverage that's coming in, you
Mhm.
know? Um, what's going on here is I'm tying like what the reason I asked you about the how big is your team right now is because you said something here around making money, not doing enough and hard work, right? And you also talked about um, like making impact and with nonprofits and beyond, like really requires money in order to have people to go in and support you and so on and so forth, right? And then now we're talking about hard work and you like the language fusion was like I and myself, and so I was like trying to see like, all right, how many people are actually like doing this here? Is the actual move like how does Wayne do more work, or is the smart move being like how does Wayne get more money to go get more people to go do more work, because like he doesn't actually need to change anything. He's gonna like he's always the scope is always going to be able to grow, like he can do the work. But it's a smart move here being the legacy, this is like literally all going through my mind, but being the legacy that he's creating through his organization rather than it being like what Wayne specifically can do to move the ball over the line. So that's those are the thoughts around everything you're saying right now that
Sure.
coalescing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's an interesting concept, right? Because
Well,
I like to say that for myself, I want to say that like the concept of like, well, all has Wayne done, right? What impact
mm,
did Wayne make? Like, it shouldn't really matter that much. It's about the actual impact that happened. Just people knowing that it was me or my name shouldn't matter, right? Ultimately, it's just like what the actual end product was. That's what I want to say, but there's still a piece of me also that we all want the credit, right? We all want the, hey, you did a great job. But at the
Hmm.
same time, it's hilarious to me. You're like, okay, well, what if your client had said, Wayne, it seems like you do absolutely nothing, right? How fun of a game would this be?
That's it. That's the game I want to play.
Is if they said, Wayne, how in the world are you producing this big of results?
Mhm.
It seems like you do absolutely nothing.
How cool would that be? Yeah, I get like you see me actually in a slower energy right now. Cause I'm like, that's a game, that's an interesting game worth playing to me. You know, that's an interesting game worth playing. I have a distinction that I like, which is the 10x and 10%, right? And so with a lot of people, they're outliers, and I'm like, how can we like go out and do more, right? And so like, how do we 10x what it is that you're doing, right? But there's an equivalent like question that's on the other side, which is actually how can you get the same amount that you're getting done right now with 10% of the energy, right?
Yeah.
In both cases, you're actually getting a 10x result, right?
Mm.
But like it's like so with you, I think it actually would be fun to actually explore the 10% question with you,
Yeah,
right? Where
definitely.
it's like if you're going to serve your clients to let's say the same or even just a little bit better, and it actually took 1/10 of what you were putting in to get them that result, what would need to change? What would need like tell me about that possibility there.
Mm. Mm. What would need to change, or
Yeah.
what
And what would it look
possibilities
like?
are there?
Yeah.
What would it look like to only do what 10% as much
Yep.
and still have more impact?
Yep. It's
Yeah.
like, and just to put it in context, like I'm assuming I don't want to say how many hours you're doing, but let's say a standard work week is 40 hours. So we're saying, what if you
Yeah.
can do in 4 hours what is currently
Sure.
taking you the standard work week?
I'm
All
with
right.
you.
All
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
cool.
great example. Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, it's 2026 right now, and so the two things that come into my mind, one is technology, is AI, right? Is how can we have more output or less input, right? I'm only doing, just for this example, right, 4 hours of work, but there's 40 hours of work output, right? Is a great idea. So going AI route, or ultimately building a bigger team, right? Having more standard operating processes in a business, in my business, having more employees in my business, through those systems. Again, now you're able to put in 10% of the amount of effort and still have 100% of the output, or even greater output than that. So yeah, so that's two possibilities to explore, right?
Yeah.
To almost answer both those questions, right? How can you
Yeah.
10x your output, while, or also, only do 10% and still have the same amount of output?
It's the same question, just like it's depending on how you look. Like
Exactly.
it's
Yeah,
just
it
depending on
is.
where the energy's at. You know what came to me when you were
Yeah.
saying this here? What came to me here, and like would like was something that would almost be like there was almost like an element of like, all right, well, what if you just got 10 times more from what you're already doing? Right?
Mm,
What if you just got 10 times more from what you're already doing? So it's not about doing 10 times more. It's just
mm,
like receiving 10 times more. Right? I haven't looked at it
mhm.
from that one. That's a different dimension. It's literally coming in replace.
What do you mean receiving 10 times more?
Yeah, it might be like so. Let's use this like I was trying to answer that question myself. What's coming up here? Let's use that same example that you were bringing up earlier, where you're like, hey, we have scope one, but like Wayne, y'all over deliver, right? They call it
Yeah.
hard work. You work hard, but like you over deliver is what I hear, right?
Yeah. Nice.
And the thing for me was like, well, what if like Wayne did that, but rather than just like being like I'm gonna do it like pro bono, like no charge or whatever it is, right? There was like we're gonna do this here and we're going to go and create more. We're going to create more for you to be able to invest more, toward your goal. And in that part, because I'm going above and beyond, like there's actually going to be some kind of, and I don't know what the right language is for like in a nonprofit world, but like some kind of like revenue share. You can't do like a nonprofit share. So, but like some kind of like revenue share, like some kind of like donation, like some kind of growth share. Look, I'm going to do
Yeah.
the thing that we said here, but like, we want this end result. And I like there's some things that I want to do that would like that will just get us there. And I don't want to be thinking about, oh, you need to come out of your pocket and go do. I just want to go do it. My ask is like, I just want to be able to share in the upsides with you on that. If I did that, would that be all right? And that's like that was the
Yeah.
way in my mind. I was like, he's not changing anything he's doing, but now he might potentially, depending on how the terms are structured, be able to get 10 times what he had put in beforehand because there was this opportunity.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. Excuse me. And
Yeah.
like, I guess the question is, if we're talking specifically about money, right?
Yeah.
What am I getting money wise 10
Yeah.
times more? Then yeah, you go revenue share, right? Or
Yeah.
it's like commission basis
Yeah.
type of work.
Perfect. Yeah.
Um,
But you said you got to
yeah,
define the success however you define it. So you tell us what would be 10x here. Like what would be a
yeah,
10x like
correct.
10x return, right?
Yeah, of course. Um, definitely here to make as much money as I possibly can. There's no
Yeah.
doubt about it, right?
Yeah. I got
While
it.
at the same time making as big of an impact as I possibly can, right? I
Yeah.
wholeheartedly believe that money isn't the key to happiness,
Yeah.
right? Money unlocks doors, unlocks opportunities that can bring a lot of happiness, no doubt about it. But it's by no means the most important piece, right? Really, impact is. So how
Yeah.
can we do both?
Yeah.
Right? How can we unlock 10 times more for the same effort? And that is 10 times more impact. So 10 times more lives being changed, the world being impacted 10 times more. While at the same time, let's make 10 times more money also.
I
Seems
love that.
pretty great.
When I hear that like I'm processing that as that might even be a 100x, right?
Mm,
Because you have the 10 times on the 10 times. So 10 times impact, 10 times money, right? I'm not sure. Like again, like we're like there may be a spreadsheet or something that can get into it all, but like I'm playing with this a little bit, right? So like
yeah.
another part of my mind goes to like, all right, well, what if we were able to get 5 times and like a 5 times the impact off of 2 times the money, you know? Like five like if we're able to double it like we're getting five x there and we get another 2x on top of that, that should take us to 10x, you know. And so
Mm.
so I wanted to like play it in there like because we got to make these constructs up, right? So it could be how do I 10x or it's like can I 5x and 2x and so on and so forth and see like overall there's 10 times more that's taken place inside this place. What do you make of that?
Yeah.
This is something I'm workshopping with you in real time.
Yeah, I'm having fun. I'm trying to brainstorm over here, almost like
Yeah.
new service offerings is like
Cool.
kind of what's happening here, right? Because so I we impact organizations and leadership at organizations, right? And by growing and impacting them, they impact more people at the same time,
Yes.
right? It's sort of
Yes.
this multiplier effect.
Yes.
And if this is released now, many people hear it, like realize that.
Yeah.
Um, realize that a lot. I have, not to get on a side tangent, I have a
Yeah.
really big goal is to serve 1 billion people per year, right?
Yes.
But a
Ooh, I love that
piece
per
of
year.
this puzzle, right, is like there's no way that I'm going to talk to 1 billion people per year.
Hmm.
Like, well, I guess I can't say no way, but there's not going to be a way to talk to 1 billion people per year. But so what I think about is that I count that everybody I help and serve, who are they helping and serving also?
Hmm.
Right? It's this like passing it along, what I really like to call the ripple effect.
Hmm.
And everybody, this is, we'll get back to me in a second, but I just can't help it that day to day, here's a great story. I have to share this story that I share all the time. And it's a great story, but it's also a tragic story. There's this guy that lived in San Francisco. And unfortunately, he was alone, he was depressed. And one day, he kind of had given up on society, on the world. And really, unfortunately, he walked to the bridge. I don't think it was the Brooklyn Bridge, walked to a bridge, and he unfortunately committed suicide. And what happened was when the police got to his house, they started searching, seeing what's going on. There was a note. And in the note, it said, right, I have given up on this world. I've given up on humanity. Like, I'm tired of looking for hope, for signs. So today I'm going to go jump off the bridge. But on my way, if somebody somewhere at least smiles at me, says hello, shows me that there is still a hope, then I'll turn around and I won't jump. I think that is the most powerful story that there is. That we don't realize how small, tiny actions day to day can have huge impact. And now let's talk about the ripple, right? If we go about our day to day smiling at people, being kind, generous, giving, grateful, right? Everybody around us is impacted. Little do we know, they were so depressed that they were about to go commit suicide. And then instead of that, what impact are they now going to have on other people as well? Because they're still around. There's a 10x for you, right? By taking a tiny little action, ripples, 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 which I think is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And so to swing back around here is I'm thinking through, well, okay, so if I'm impacting my clients, organizations, nonprofits, they're impacting people, how can I help to multiply all of this? And so earlier I said either growing a team bigger, standard operating procedures, systems, or technology, right? A lot of AI stuff can help do it as well. And so even if I implement more systems, I can impact 10 times the amount of people, right, in my immediate circle. But how do I help them implement and impact 10 times the amount of people also? And so it makes me think about a system of helping to set up systems or even helping to set up technology inside of nonprofit organizations, right? To help them. And now we're moving towards that 100x, that 1000x, whatever the spreadsheet says, right? Because not only am I making my circle bigger, impacting everybody that I'm reaching as well, is now able to reach an even bigger circle and atmosphere also. What are your thoughts? I'm not sure exactly what that'll look like, and I probably shouldn't be sitting here trying to completely reinvent my entire business plan, but it's
Yeah,
not a bad
like
thing.
this. Well, we talk about life changing and life flipping and all that stuff here. Like the things that I've learned over time that like a moment of silence is life changing. Like to your point here about a smile is life changing, literally life saving, right? In this case, right? And so like the things we talk about here, like you said that you want outliers to leave here like seeing and exploring possibility. Great. It seems like there's a possibility that's like on the table here, right? And the possibility is, well, what would it look like for me to both 10x myself, right? 10x my like 10x the number of people that I can help, a number of organizations I'm helping, and helping make sure that each of them are able to get 10 times their results, help them 10 times out there. One possibility is that you come up with some like technology or way of helping them with their technology that unlocks this element for them there. That's one possible. Like we're playing in the world of what what if this was possible, right?
Yeah.
And the cool part about this is and then we're gonna start wrapping up for today. But one of my coaches, he says, I help people think bigger than they've ever thought in their life, and then take smaller steps than they've ever taken in their life. Right. And like I think this is one of those kinds of things here where it's like we don't need to blow up the business. No, we need a business to keep providing, so that you have like both the money, the inputs of information, the struggles of being like, you know, hard work right now is still a little bit too appealing to you, Wayne.
Yeah.
Like you're getting too many accolades, too many good things come from hard work. But one day you're gonna get
Sure.
to the point where you're like, this is not worth all this hard work. I wish it was
Sure.
easier, and
Sure.
then you'd be like,
Sure.
we're going to technology or we're going to team or we're doing whatever else that comes in, or you
Yeah.
like so like for me, I think that I like the spot of being open to that possibility. And we can have other conversations to see like where it goes and all that stuff and when's the right time. But like just to be in that space of playing, because like I'm like, oh, you can like the idea of 10x in your clients' results, but and then being able to do that for 10 times more people than you're currently doing, to be able to get
Mhm.
to that billion and more. I'm like, yeah, that feels that feels good. Like, cause
Yeah.
yeah, it got me thinking like for me, like, we're talking 10x and things like here. I feel like whenever I'm trying to take on a problem nowadays, like I feel that I can the number 1000 it's kind of like my like the number like, oh, how do I 1,000x? How do I do this for 1,000 people? How do I do this for 1,000 days? So on and so forth. And there's something that
Nice.
happens for me, Wayne, where I'm like, it just doesn't feel challenging enough, to be honest. Like a lot of other people, they're overwhelmed by something like that. I'm like, I don't think challenging. Right now, in my current capacity, the number that almost always gets me lit up to think about something different is 10,000. You know,
Nice.
so it's like there's just something that happens at 10,000x where I'm like, oh well, if I have to have 10,000 conversations, like literally, I was like, I want to have 10,000 conversations. I'm like, I literally can't have 10,000 conversations, but if I then created, if I was 10%, I could do my 1,000. What would it take for me to get 9,000 other conversations taking place that aren't me? You know? And this is like, so this is where I kind of feel you like, I can do 10x, but like, and what would it take to get them to do each person to do 10x more than that? I'm loving it. And I want to give it room to breathe. We can have more conversations with it here, but I think like we're both at time, but we're also in the place of like, all right, this is a possibility worth exploring. What do you make of that? Like, what do you want to say on that, if anything at all?
No, I appreciate it. I think, this idea of thinking bigger and bigger and bigger, right? Of like, okay, well, how can I look at this and say, okay, well, what if I can serve 10 people or 10 times the amount of people? Well, what if I can serve 1,000 times the amount of people? Well, what if I can serve 10,000 times the amount of people, right? We are going to definitely need to work a lot smarter and
Yeah.
not just harder
You
if
can't
we
work
want to
harder to
achieve
that way.
that. No,
That's it. That's what I'm playing that place where I'm like, oh, I need something that breaks me. Like
sure.
like there's not like I can just keep doing what I'm doing right now at 1,000x, or what, or a
Yeah.
thousand people, whatever it is. Like that. I think that's it. Like I don't know if 10x is the thing that breaks you in terms of like the way that but like it's like what's something that requires so much work that hard work cannot be the answer. If you start playing in
Yeah.
that world, I think that like that's gonna start being unlocking some things for you, man.
I think that's a super cool concept. I
Nice.
like it a whole lot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're gonna wrap up our conversation. I end every
Cool.
conversation with this here. What's been your biggest insight from any part of this whole experience for you?
I think the biggest insight here came right here at the end, right? That if we allocate bigger goals, if we want to make a bigger impact, right? Make it so big that factually just hard work can't accomplish it.
Mm.
Right? It's not possible. So then we have to work more strategically so that hopefully someday we get that person to come to us and say, wow, how do you make such a giant impact? Because it seems like you do absolutely nothing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I love that there. Like I'm rooting for that possibility as well. Outliers, we're gonna wrap up here, but until the next time we talk here, be you on purpose. Journey on.